Hey guys, this is Joji, and today I'll be discussing this lovely book right here, Conventionally Yours by Annabeth Albert. This book I read just today. I finished reading it today, so this is pretty fresh. Before we get into this, I just want to say, for the non-spoilery section, I love this book. If you are interested in it, I'm not gonna give a summary or synopsis, whatever, because I'm not good at that. So just go on Google, search it up, and read the synopsis and decide for yourself whether or not you want to read it. First thing is that the shirt in the thumbnail is different than the shirt I'm wearing now, because I did the thumbnail a few days ago, and I do not want to remake the thumbnail with this shirt because that's just too much. Just too much, basically. I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to. And the thumbnail, it's pretty decent, and I don't want to do a new one and for it to not be decent, if that makes sense, so I'm just staying with the one that I have. So now that that's over, spoilery section. This review / discussion, whatever you want to call it, is spoiler full. It is a spoiler full video, so if you haven't read it, go away, decide whether or not you want to read it, I don't care, and then come back if you have read it. Spoiling someone just sucks. So I'm doing my duty and warning you. If you do not do your duty and staying away of spoilers if you have not read the book, that's your problem, not mine. Now that that warning is over, I'm gonna actually talk about the book. So I have some notes here, and then I'll just make up the things as I go. So first things first is that I love that this book, my notebook just slid off, but I love that this book doesn't explicitly say what the characters' sexualities are. And I really like that, just because, I don't know, I just like that. I like that a lot, because it makes it normalized, because in this society that we live in, being part of the LGBTQ+ community is a huge deal. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having, coming out, being a big deal. It's not bad at all. I'm not saying it's bad or anything, but I just love when people normalize it, because we should. Coming out should be important to the person, but it should also be treated as something that is normalized, because they're not doing anything wrong. The people who are coming out are doing nothing wrong, and I believe it should be as normalized as straight people dating, basically, which is not, unfortunately. But because of attitudes like the ones that this, I guess, author has, I think we're getting there. And I love that this book also has that. Bi, gay, lesbian, LGBTQ+ community, those words are not explicitly said in this book more than, I feel 5 times. I think 5 times is tops with all of those words combined. And it says a lot, because it's more implied or already known fact that some of these characters are part of the LGBTQ+ community. And I love that, because it makes it, again, it makes it more normalized. It makes it seem like, hey, no big deal, this is normal. We're all inclusive here, we'll all get it, and I like that. I'd like that a lot. Because in other books, it's a little bit different. This is specifically seen in Peyton. There never is a part in the book where Peyton is classified as one thing, if that makes sense. The author or any of the characters actually says that Peyton is androgynous or genderless or gender fluid. Never once are those words explicitly said or put in this book. Instead, they show it to you. They basically show it to you by the characters using pronouns such as they, their, when referring to Peyton. Same thing with Conrad, same thing with Alden. They are never said to be gay. They don't say it themselves as much, and they don't say that the other is gay as much either. They are just oh yeah, I hook up with guys, or oh yeah, I like guys, I look at guys, and I really, really appreciate that. I don't know, it's a weird feeling. I don't know how to describe it that much. One other thing that I love is Professor Tuttle. I love that he is also part of the LGBTQ+ community and has a lovely husband, and they've been together for a while. Something that I watched, read with Cindy, did a review or discussion video of one of the books that she was reading. I don't know how long ago, but I just recently watched it. And this book, I don't remember what it was, but it had a coming out that lasted 6 pages, and it was crazy, because she filmed herself reading that, and it just went on forever as she sped it up, and it just went on forever, and it was crazy. It was crazy. And then in the comments, I read the comments, and one of the comments said, I'm reading this off here, straight people writing gay characters, 6-page long coming out monologue. And then in the line below it said, like, LGBTQ plus people writing gay characters, so like, I'm gay. Yeah, I love that. It explains the situation so perfectly. Really, really, I applaud myself for seeing that comment, because it totally explains what I'm trying to say in such a funny and concise way. It was interesting that this book had 2 perspectives. I keep getting surprised at books being 2 perspectives, because time and time again I'm reading more books that have 2 perspectives instead of 1, which is kind of like a change for me. I read, at least, a lot of books that have only 1 perspective in them, and recently I've just been reading things that have 2 perspectives in them, and that's just so interesting, because I don't usually think of these books as being 2 perspectives, but then you actually think, oh yeah, that makes total sense. I don't know, I just wanted to put that out there. The perspectives are of Alden and Conrad, our 2 main characters. Another thing I want to say is that I'm so excited for Jasper's book next year. Oh my god, yes, Jasper's such a cutie. We didn't get to see much of Jasper, because this is mainly Conrad and Alden Central, but I love Jasper. I like him a lot. I like Peyton too. Freaking, I love characters. I thought this book would have a sex scene or some type of sexual act within it. The reason why is because in Everything, it's a book that I read by Nicole Yoon a long time ago. I think it was middle school. But I read it and I didn't think it would have a sex scene, and it did. And then this thing, I thought, oh, maybe this book is also one of those things where you don't think it has a sex scene, but it does, and it did a couple of times actually. So we get the first kiss, which is super cute. I think it was in the arcade. They were both hesitant. It was awkward. It was wonderful. And then after that, I think we had a few more kisses, and then they had that little like one-on-one in that cottage like hotel room thing that only had one very small bed. I'm pretty sure. I guess they came, they ejaculated, they came. They came with like their clothes on. It was a weird thing, because I thought they were having sex, but then there was this one phrase that said, oh, they were still dressed, and it never says that they undressed themselves or that this was done with their shirts off or anything like that. They were both completely dressed, and it was weird because, you know, I thought, oh, this is actual sex, and it may have been, but just with them dressed. I don't know, it was confusing for me there. But I really like the subtle way that the author deals with just like sex in this book. Doesn't make it too obvious, doesn't make it too cheesy, corny, or whatever. Just something that they do, you know, and I love that. So they have that thing where they rub each other off, and then they come or whatever, and then they go into the shower naked, and I thought that was such a awesome intimate moment for them, like going into the shower naked, because they didn't see each other naked previously when they were I guess having an orgasm together. I don't know, I thought that was cute. And then we get the actual penetrative sex while they were in the hotel room, which I also like, because freaking Alden was such awkward, being like, oh, I have the stuff, like, don't make me say the word, Conrad. But I really like that as well. So they have oral sex like all throughout the book, from like the middle until the end or something like that, and then they have like penetrative sex, which is like the important step. And even Conrad says, oh, a lot of people don't have penetrative sex, so like anal sex, and it's true, a lot of people don't, they just don't go there. And I love that Conrad was so accepting of it, even though he did have anal sex before with like other people. Another thing I want to speak about is the things that I was correct about. Basically, I was correct about the book having sex scenes in there. Yes, 1 point for me. 2, I knew from the beginning that it was something about Conrad's family kicking him out or something, that was the reason why he was screwed over so much for the past year. And I was right, his family were douchebags, basically. Mostly his mom and dad. Mostly his dad, but like his mom too. His sisters not so much. His sisters are, I think, good. They're good. But I guessed that one right as well. I guessed 2 right, okay? And I also guessed that Conrad was going to be the winner, so he won. He won, and I love, like, of course this has to have a happy ending, I know, but I love that he gets to have this job offer that better suits his needs, and that Alden is invited or offered a job as well at Odyssey headquarters, and that the rest of his crew as well. I just felt like if we had a little bit more time within the book, that there could have been a few more times where Alden's moms were pushing him to not make the decision of like being a teacher, and him constantly having to repeat it, hey, I want to be a teacher, you know. I just thought that that would have been a little bit more realistic, seeing as how Alden's moms are of like persistent. I just thought that that continued struggle of like getting it through their head would be a little bit more realistic. But again, I said that if we had more time in the book ends and we don't get that much time with them after the tournament, which makes sense because we spent a lot of time with them beforehand. But yeah, I just thought that it would be a little bit more realistic, and maybe that did happen and we just don't see it. But I would have just liked that kind of like repetitiveness of like get this through their head, because that's just a little bit more persistent. I mean, that's a little bit more realistic, especially with their situation and how Alden describes the moms as like they pressure him and stuff like that, and they're very persistent. I don't think that's really a criticism. That's just something I observed, you know, or wanted, I guess. That was the end. They went to New York City, and I love that Alden is still kind of undecisive about whether to work full-time at Odyssey and make that a career, or for him to be a teacher. And I also love that he has a plan B, because it is said that he is working for a teacher certificate, and he's in classes right now and stuff like that in his first semester. And I love that. And he's also working part-time at Odyssey. I really like the ending, and I also like the fact that Conrad kind of gets a closure on his family situation, which I feel is pretty important to him and stuff like that. But, you know, again, we don't get to see that a lot because we don't get to see much of after the convention, which is totally fine for me because they get a happy ending. But yeah, that's really all there is to this video. I don't want to make it longer. Hopefully I haven't made it that long. But yeah, those are all my thoughts. I really enjoyed this book. I just really enjoyed this book. I just want to say I make videos once a week. I think Sunday, I'll probably land on Sunday as being like the day I upload. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys so much, and I'll hopefully see you next week.